classic cars, then Donald loves you. So, Antonio, it is day 4 of the 2021 Mille Miglia. We are waking up in Bologna, and we are headed back to your ancestral home.
Yeah. Back to Brescia, back where I was born. So, pretty exciting.
Only 304 kilometers left in the 1,719-kilometer adventure. What could go wrong?
Well, everything was pretty much flawless up until that point, and, I think we should have knocked on wood that morning because we did run into some technical difficulties, as they would say in the video production world, which wasn't so good.
Well, but truthfully, what is an epic adventure without some element of epic adventure?
Yes, of course. I think that it would have been too easy if there weren't any problems with the car. And we almost made it all the way to the end until we almost didn't.
Well, again, that's one of the things that we can't say enough about our great friend Pietro Tinconi and his crew at Classic Car Charter, because it's actually why you use a car like this in a way like this, because we always knew that no matter what happened, we wouldn't be stranded. But the funniest thing is the fact that Pietro did say, it's the 1,000 miles, the Mille Miglia. However, it's actually about 1,200 miles. So he said, the car was meant to go 1,000 miles.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
what's the problem?
It had worked for its shelf life and then quickly stopped working. I think the funniest part about the whole thing was right before we started to have problems outside of Verona, you were like, this is the best Mille Miglia I've been on. The weather has been perfect. It hasn't rained. The car was absolutely flawless. We had no problems. And I kid you not 3 or 4 minutes after that, we started hearing like chuk, 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 chuk.
What's that sound?
And I was like, oh man. And then with the clutch broke, right? Was it the clutch? Yeah. So we pulled over on the side of the road, right? What was it? It was outside of Verona,
Outside
right?
Verona, yes. We were sort of in the middle of a little town.
Yeah.
And the people couldn't have been nicer.
Oh, they were amazing.
They were absolutely astonishing. But one of the things that was so funny, too, about the Mille Miglia, I mean, we talk about the various elements of it, climbing through the mountains and driving through silt roads and all this. But the interesting thing about the route for the fourth day, of course, is that it's normally the way the Mille Miglia starts rather than the way it ends in terms of the direction. And so these are the towns all along Lake Garda that you normally don't really get to see because it's getting dark. And so I was really looking forward to seeing, driving along Lake Garda to Salò and Sirmione and all this during the day. And it was interesting to see, and there's certainly lots of people out, but the drive wasn't quite what I thought it would be. But of course, your drive was totally different than mine at that point.
Donald, I hate to say this, but I think I enjoyed my last bit of the drive the most from that day because I was very tired and very hot. At 24 years old, I have this feeble body over here. So I reclined the seat and I got to enjoy the air conditioning from the Levante. But I don't think your last bit of the trip was as calming as mine was.
No, it wasn't quite. Again, one of the things that's so great about the Mille Miglia is the press of the spectators and driving through these lakeside towns where the people are in the road and you are driving where cars aren't normally allowed to go on the sidewalks next to the lake in these towns. It was really terrific, except for the fact that because of what had happened to our clutch, it was basically engaged all the time. The teeth had broken, so it was engaged against the flywheel. So in order to proceed, you basically shut the car off, and then you started the car, and once the car was on, it went.
Yeah.
And so it was a matter of watching out for people's knees and shins. And
they don't need those.
Who needs those? Exactly. Hey, they're here to see the Mille Miglia.
Yeah,
don't they want to be a part of it by being the hood ornament on the Seata? And it was also quite interesting, obviously. Again, one of the great things about this car is the fact that, yes, the clutch had this failure, but it kept running, it never overheated, and a lot of cars, actually of all the cars that dropped out, most of them dropped out in this last day, on this last stage.
I definitely saw from the support vehicle that there were some cars broken down on the side of the road, so I think it was pretty incredible that the Seata made it all the way to the end, which, I mean, what an accomplishment.
The spirit of the Mille Miglia is such that people really want everyone to succeed. So, they'll lend a hand, and they want people to really make it to the finish because it's a big deal. And, of course, we did meet up. At the end, we got you out of the Levante, we got you away from your snacks, out of the air conditioning, and said, we have to drive across the ramp together because that's how we started this adventure.
Well, back to the Levante and snacks. More importantly, snacks, because you know how much I love my snacks. Pietro's guy who was with him he was like, "Oh, are you hungry?" And we went to the store and we grabbed a bunch of different snacks.
Aspetta un attimo. You are in the air conditioning. You're in the reclined seats, and then a question is asked. Oh, would you like to go shopping for more snacks?
Yeah,
let's take a break.
It was great.
You've never revealed this to me until now, and it's a good thing too.
I have a couple things that have never been revealed until now. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so I was well fed, which was good because you know how hungry I was during this whole thing. But I think one of the most magical moments for me on this whole trip was actually from the seat of the Levante when we went through this tunnel on the way back to Brescia on the highway, and there was, I think it was the Ferrari 250 Mille Miglia, and I think he might have been taking a shortcut, and there was a long tunnel, and we were in the right lane, and he passed us, and the sound of that V12 going through the tunnel, I think he did probably third into fourth gear, just wah, bah, like it went on for so long to the point where it's you feel like you're getting goosebumps from it. I mean, that was total sensory overload. I mean, to hear a car like that with no catalytic converters, a real V12, a real manual transmission gearbox was awesome. That was so cool.
That must have been amazing because I know what an impression that car made on us when it passed us on the road. To hear that car in the tunnel must have just been absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then when we got back to the Mille Miglia Museum, and we met up with you and Pietro, and you and I got in the car and we started driving down to where the ramp was. It was pretty funny because we got to the end and it didn't really make sense for you to kind of start the car and then lurch it forward when we were inching our way up to the podium. So you and I pushed the car probably, I don't know, it was probably like a good football field's length.
Absolutely.
I mean, we pushed it for a long time.
Now, Gren, we have to remind everybody watching this that the car weighs 500 kilograms. So
yeah,
not a really big deal. Although, after you gotten out of the air conditioning, you probably were a little weaker than...
No, I had strength because I had all my snacks, so I was good. So we started pushing the car, and all of the people on the side of the road were so happy to see that we were actually putting in the effort to get the car to the finish line. And I think that almost makes the story more magical. It's kind of like, at the end of a Rocky movie and everyone's beat up, but he still makes it through anyway. I mean, that was cool that we got to get that experience, and all the people were really like clapping and cheering us on and saying, that's so heroic of you. And that was a cool moment. When we did get to the podium, we started the car and we got to the top, and then you had to turn it off, and then they handed us a present. We
got our medals.
Yeah.
And and that is, as I said before, every Mille Miglia that I've done has always been an emotional experience, but there is nothing like the experience of finishing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think, it seems like just yesterday, and it seems like a month ago that you left.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the photos of us on the first day, and, our shirts were, like, perfectly ironed and everything, hair looks good. Well, my hair looks good.
Your hair always looks good. My scalp looked dusty. My Swick Steel pants had tire marks on them,
man.
And it was...
Well, those shoes you had, I thought it was funny because you kept going on about your Sparco racing shoes, and they literally melted on the first day.
The soles melted off the bottom of the shoes on the first day.
And then you had to use your dress shoes for they got destroyed. But you look at the picture of us at the end, and it was like we were so beat up from the last 4 days.
It's an amazing thing that we're smiling, giving the thumbs up, We're saying, okay, we actually finished this and we want to go into an air-conditioned car and sleep in a nice soft bed and get a nice dinner and all those things. But also it was great too because of the timing. Driving a car with number 118, a 1940 car, we actually finished in the mid-afternoon. We started at just before 8 in the morning. So it was a long day, but it was one of the shorter days of the Mille Miglia. So it was only a 7-hour day. So it's practically walk in the park.
Yeah. No, I think, getting out of the car, so yes, I was in the Levante for the last little bit of it. But once we got out of the Seata again at the end, I remember when I got back to the hotel, I had this bruise on my right thigh all the way back to my butt, and it was from because the seat was so small, and I'm small too, but the seat was so small, there was a metal piece on the end where the cushion was, and that kept digging into my leg from the just the bouncing of the car. And I was like, damn, this thing really beat me up towards the end of it, and I thought that was kind of like my battle scar from the event.
and it also brings home really very dramatically the entire point of doing an event like this in a car like we drove, because you are now transported back in time to the incredibly heroic men and a few women that actually did this in period, driving the car as fast as they could without stopping. Many of the roads in 1940 were unpaved.
Yeah.
So it just must have been an incredible effort.
Yeah.
And the fact that we get to live a part of that today, because we are much softer people than they were in 1940, God knows.
They didn't have the snacks that I had.
They did not have that's the other thing, during the 1940 Mille Miglia, I'll bet they didn't stop for snacks once.
No, I couldn't have done it. I'll be the first one to say it, I couldn't have done it.
So then the question always comes up. You've completed the Mille Miglia. Would you do it again?
Oh, definitely. I would definitely do it again. Those 4 days were the most magical, intense, and fun days that I had probably ever had in a car or do any kind of motorsport event. It was so incredible, and it went by so quickly, yet you said, I agree with you that it also took a long time, but feeling truly lucky to be a part of that. Doing something that millions of people dream of doing, but not everyone gets to do it. I think that I was touched by the end of it. I couldn't believe that we actually accomplished it. It was awesome.
It was, I had the same feeling at the end of this as I had at the other Mille Miglia events that I've done. Okay, I've done this. I don't ever have to do this again. Oh my God, this is so horrifying. And then as time passes, you think, well, maybe I might like to do it in this, or you see a car, think, oh, wouldn't that be fun in the Mille Miglia?
Yeah. I want to do it in the W194.
Yeah, exactly. To do it in a nice, really fast, relatively comfortable car would be something. But, you don't want to make it too easy, because I think that takes a lot out of it as well. And given the fact that I've really discovered in a big way veteran cars, maybe a 1940 car isn't old enough for me. Maybe the next time I need to do it in a 1920s car.
I think that would be insane.
Yeah.
I think we should bring back the 1902 Oldsmobile.
No, that would be a bit much.
You can watch that here on our channel, but I think you should do it with that, Donald. I think you would have fun with the tiller in the Alps and all these mountains. Well, not in the Alps.
In the Apennines would be enough,
Yeah.
but it's. Let's see, if it took us 4 days to complete 1,700 kilometers in the Seata.
44 days. Yeah.
44 days, I think we'd be halfway through the Mille Miglia by the time.
No, we would be dead.
It'd be easier to stop for snacks, though, Niels.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Well, Antonio, I certainly had a wonderful time on this adventure with you, and it was really made special for me, not just because I got to drive one of my absolute dream cars of all time, this 1940 Seata that Pietro Tanconi graciously loaned to us for this event, but also the fact that having you go back to the town where you were born, I think that was such an incredibly neat thing,
Yeah. That was, it was such an honor for my family that I got to do this event, and for my aunt to come and see us there on the first day, and then she kept checking in throughout the whole time. And I don't know. I mean, my dad was so over the moon for me. I mean, he was so excited. Every day he would call me and ask me how everything was going. And I think, you know, if I ever get to do it again, I mean, I would love to do it with my dad. I think that would be, like, he's given me basically everything. So if I could give him one thing, I think it would be the gift of the Mille Miglia.
It would be amazing, I think, for you and your dad to do this together, but I think that you would be permanently injured because the two of you would have grins that were so wide and so permanent, your faces would just be cracked forever.
Yeah, we would. It wouldn't be good. We'd have to see a plastic surgeon and a jaw guy after that.
That's absolutely amazing. And again, as you said, I feel so incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to have done this. And I'm not sure if I'll do it again, but if I do, it'll be amazing. And I hope that you've got a lot to look forward to and you get to do another one of these.
Yeah, thank you. Well, if you are going to do it again, I think you have a co-pilot who can do it with you. I'll just be more prepared with the whole snack situation next time.
Snacks and the route book, and we're all set.
Hey, I'm good with the route book now. It only took me 4 days.
And another great shout out to our friend Pietro Tinconi and Classic Car Charter for the amazing work that they did in supporting us and supplying us with this historic car. Grazie, Pietro.
Yeah, thank you very much.